Hello and welcome to another modern video, and this is going to be the return of Grixis Sugu. I still think that this card is very underplayed right now in Modern. I think the card is actually quite strong, lines up well against the format, but there are no good shells for it. So today what we're going to try out is the best shell I found so far for this card, and this is a Grixis Control. So we're going to be trying out a new card from Tristan of New Capenna that I've been willing to try because every deck is a Ledger Shredder deck now. Every single deck, you just add a Ledger Shredder and it becomes a better deck. So because of that, we're going to be trying this little bird lawyer, like people are calling it, in this archetype. So the card is very, very strong, and it has something very nice, which is that it doesn't have any lackluster interactions with Sugu. Like in the past, I've played some Brag events in the slot of the Ledger Shredder right now. And Monkey, even though it's very, very powerful, of course, it has a little bit of tension between Hitetsugu and Consume Soul because obviously, you know, the Sugu not only blows up your monkey, but it also blows up the actual treasures that you get from the monkey. So if you have monkey going, as soon as you are forced into playing a Sugu, all of a sudden everything, gets blown up. Of course, you know, monkey is still good enough that, you know, if you have monkey going and it's unimpeded, then you probably don't even need to cast this card. So you're probably doing just fine anyways, but Shredder just works out nicely because we don't have any, misynergy going on. Like we actually have this as a 2-drop. This doesn't destroy it. Shredder doesn't really use the graveyard. So what it does is it's going to allow us to basically churn through our deck so that we can keep the gas flowing, basically. It's a little bit interesting, and by interesting I mean like a little bit of a tension between Shredder and counter spells, right? Because you want to be playing your Shredder, and if you want to be holding up counter spell, then that's a turn where you're not triggering your Shredder. But what we do have going on here is that the vast majority of our deck is either it costs 0 mana, or it's a card that wins the game by itself, which is kind of what we're going to be drawing towards with the Shredder, or it works at instant speed, the only exceptions being Iteration and the Sugu itself. So because of that, I think that this is going to just line up well enough, even though I don't think I've broken it. Like, I don't really necessarily think that this is going to be like the best Ledger Shredder deck ever or anything like that, but I think it lines up fairly well, and I was considering adding bubbles to the deck, but I think that the bubbles don't really work well in this shell because we have no synergies with it besides the Shredder. And also, the slow trip is a little bit awkward in a control deck. Like, you want to know which cards you're going to have access to. The card that I was seriously considering, though, is something like Consider or Opt, however. And I think if I were to play one of those, it would be Opt, because, maybe you don't want to be discarding, some cards that you may want to draw in the future. So I think that I would play Opt, but I also don't think that it's worth playing that card because it's not particularly impactful. If we played, enough Opts, maybe we can go down to 24 lands, but I'm not even sure I want to be doing that anyway. So one thing that I wanted to talk about that Shredder actually does help a lot with is with the mana. Because of the requirements of Monkey of having untapped red mana on turn 1, I was forced in the past to play like a bunch of fetch lands and even fast lands in Spiral of Canal. Because Shredder is a 2-drop, I can now play 2 copies of Sanders Lounge, which is a fantastic card in this archetype. Like, this is probably out of all of the decks or the control decks, like this is the one that was really, really hoping to find a trial lane. So, like, having access to 2 copies of Sanders Lounge is going to make our mana just absolutely smooth. And not only that, but we also have access to Sulphur Falls, as opposed to Spiral of Canal, that when you're playing a deck that wants to double spell on turn 4 and plus, or just wants to be casting Jace the Mind Sculptors, then obviously Sulphur Falls becomes a much, much better card than Spiral of Canal. But we were forced into playing Canal because of Monkey. So now we don't have that, that card kind of creating some tension in our mana base, so we can play in very, very nice and very, very smooth mana base, which I'm pretty excited about trying out. You will also notice that I cut one of the Jaces from my previous list, and the reason for that is obviously the Shredder. Shredder is going to be able to allow us to dig through our deck and try to dig for Jaces, and instead of that, what I added is one extra copy of Lightning Bolt, which can, because I cut the monkeys, I have less red cards for Fury, and I wanted to have, you know, an extra red card that I can cast and help trigger Shredder, or that, you know, just can allow me to trigger the Shredder so I can dig towards my win conditions if I need to. So besides that, you're going to see that I added one Prismari command. In the past, I have found that artifacts can sometimes be problematic, so I wanted to have one copy of Prismari command or Colonials command. I think Prismari command is better in this deck specifically. I think that the Treasure does add up, and also just the draw 2, discard 2 can be good to prevent flooding in the late game, but I could see calling as command as well, especially now that we're adding a very, very powerful creature to our arsenal. But besides that, you'll see the sideboard Dispute because I respect Murktide and 4-color. Fluster and Spell Pierce are mostly there for living in. Thoughtseize against Combo, Magus, and Ashiok against Amulet and you know, big mana strategies and whatnot. 4th copy of Sugu, very, very good when this card is good, like against Murktide, against something like Hammer Time, against a deck like Hammer Time. Another copy of Dreadbore can kill Planeswalkers, which can be important. And 3 copies of Nile Spellbound Living End is a very, very powerful deck right now, and I respect it very, very much. So we're going to be having some extra cheap graveyard hate in the deck as well. We're going to be playing this deck through a list. I'm very, very excited to try it out, so hopefully you are going to join me in these 5 matches. If you like the content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're interested in supporting my content, you can do so through Patreon. You can do donations, and whenever you do donations, I can actually play a list of your choosing and make a video using any deck list of your choice. And also I offer coaching, so if any of those things are something that would seem interesting to you, you can find all the information you need in the description of the video down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you for round number 1. It's Sugu o'clock, baby. Well, this hand is kind of sketch, but I think I'm gonna keep it. So we can go turn 1, Scalding Tarn, go. Turn 2, hold up Counterspell. Our mana base is going to be perfect. We have Jace to draw towards, to work towards, I guess. And we can basically get a lounge here, which is going to make our mana just smooth as silk. Please don't monkey me. Damn it. Okay, that's how we lose this game, potentially. Hey! Yeah, I'll play that one. That blocks monkey. We really want to dodge Lightning Bolt here. As long as we dodge Lightning Bolt, we're kind of Gucci, actually. I think I would much rather have drawn either a Fatal Push or Lightning Bolt to get rid of the monkey, because now my opponent can just bolt Shredder and then swing with monkey. But again, if we dodge Lightning Bolt here, we can be in really good shape. And Holy Heat. So I guess we're going to get a 2-for-1 here. Double Heat. Alright. Alright, that's not bad at all, actually. So we're going to ban, I think, the Steam Vents. Yeah, this is actually fine. So now next turn I can go push, monkey, counterspell, whatever my opponent plays, which is nice. We're going to take 2 though. Hey, can't cast that one. Too bad, because that would have been a fantastic draw for me. Could have just... Ooh, that's cool. Alright, so... Huh. Now's the question. Do I want to main phase this? I think so. It is worse in the face of another monkey, I think. But this allows me to play around Spell Pierce very nicely. I need place around Counterspell as well. So if my opponent plays a Murktide here, we have some options. We can Jace. Yeah, I'm going to counter that. And now we resolve Jace. Probably going to Jace plus. We have already an answer to Murktide, which is very, very nice. Opponent bubbles themselves, and they don't crack, which is scary. Okay. So I think we just slam Jace here. And I think I want to get a basic island or a basic swamp. I want to get a basic. I'm going to get a basic swamp because of how my hand looks like. So here's a Jace. My opponent has counterspell, they have to crack the treasure. So this is probably like the best possible place to attempt to cast this Jace. Card is obviously pretty awkward in a matchup like this, where my opponent is so much more efficient than I am. But the good thing is I have way more answers for my opponent's cards. Alright, they drew the iteration. which is pretty bad for me. So now we have to start drawing some iterations ourselves. I think if we find some iterations, we're just gonna be good. But well, DRC is gonna die. We'd love to see a Sugu. Like if I find Sugu off the top, I think we're gonna be really far ahead. Because it sort of forces my opponent into... It forces my opponent into, if they have a Murktide, they have to slam it. And then I get to Sugu, trigger on the stack, terminate the Murktide, and then exile everything. So if we draw Hidetsugu Consume Soul, I'm going to feel very far ahead. So Sugu is my best draw. Sugu one time. Iteration is pretty good. Can't complain about that one. Alright. Alright. Do I want to try to resolve Jace, or would I rather shred? I think I'd rather shred. Probably. I mean, I guess I could go like hand exile. Yeah, okay, let's do that. It's a little bit on the greedy side of things. On the greedy side of things. But this also makes it so if my opponent wants to kill this, they have to like do stuff main phase, which taps them out, which then makes my Jace potentially better. I'm at a healthy life total, so I'm not too worried about dying from here. Opponent iterates. Alright, so we're triggering the Shredder, which is good. Because it makes it so Lightning Bolt is not going to be good. Opponent does not bin the card, so I'm assuming that there's a hit in my future. But if they hit this, then they don't hit this, right? So that's kind of good for me. Ragavan, Nimble Pilferer. We're not blocking that guy. You got me. They have to cast the Ragavan, right? I don't think they can really afford to not have their iteration be a 2-for-1. So they do cast the Monkey. We trigger Shredder. And I think we're going to discard the Counterspell. DRC, and they have one card left in their hand. We may actually be ahead here. We have answers for both of my opponent's threats. They bin an Archmage's Charm? Jeez. Can I find Sugu? Can I find Sugu one time? Ugh, never lucky. Alright, so I think we're just going to Jace. I think we're going to Jace plus push. And I'm going to Brainstorm here. I have to get my value. Played my land already, so we're gonna put this on top and this on top. I mean, I'm gonna get to see all of these cards anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm trying to think what I'm gonna discard. I don't think I discard the Terminate, and I don't think I discard it. So I'm gonna have to discard either the land or the second Shredder. I guess I'm gonna discard the land. So put this on top. We're going to push the DRC. I think the DRC is giving my opponent more value than the Monkey is. Oh, but now if they kill the Monkey, they can actually get my Shredder. So that was a mistake, actually. I should have put the land on top. Yeah, this is pretty bad. Yeah, now they're gonna get to swing at me, and then I'm gonna have to deal with the Shredder. That's bad. That's Unholy Hit number 3. And if my opponent doesn't have a Lightning Bolt, so they kind of need to find the Lightning Bolt right now. And I guess if they take my Shredder, yeah, they did find the Lightning Bolt. So I guess, oh no, never mind. They're going to be able to shred. Yeah, so now they're going to go face and they're going to be able to cast my Shredder off of the Monkey. Yeah, this is bad. This is all of a sudden really bad for me. I forgot about the Monkey. And my opponent finding the answer to everything is kind of a beating. Stupid and sexy Monkey. Can I find Hidetsugu Consume Soul? Fatal push. Alright. So we're gonna push the Shredder, I think. And I think I steal the Monkey? I could also just draw 2. Let's just draw 2. Because I have a lot of answers to this Monkey, like Lightning Bolt. That's not one of them. I'm gonna need to... I think this Monkey is just going to run away with the game, so I'm gonna have to do this right now. Which leaves me a little bit naked in the face of a Murktide. Man, like, Sugu would have been so good at so many steps of the way. Now if my opponent plays a Murktide, we're in big trouble, actually. Yeah, there's the Murktide. Oh, iteration number 4? Yeah. I mean, if we iterate into good stuff, we may be okay. But yeah, my opponent drew more iterations than I did, so obviously they are very far ahead. They have their own bird and the dragon. Oh, no dragon. Okay. They should not have done that. They could have triggered Shredder next turn. Iteration. Fury. Alright. Alright, I can work with this. So red, 1, 2, 3. Bird down. Okay, so both of my Jaces are gone. Opponent has 1 card in hand. They're out of Unholy Heats. We need to dodge the dragon, which I think my opponent's paying costs, so it's bad for me. Oh, cycle. Okay. Just gonna yield until end step. Yeah, they're paying costs, so they found the Murktide, which is going to kill me in 1 swing. So I guess I don't have to fetch, but it's very unlikely that I don't die anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I wanna see the most cards. So I think if I don't find an answer to the Murktide, I'm gonna die to it anyway. So, all right, draw 2. Gotta find an answer. If they have counterspell, will ooh, okay. Black red. They didn't counter the draw 2, so all right. We play on. Those were some very good top decks. If we dodge Murktide 1 more turn, I think we're gonna be in good shape. That's not dodging Murktide. And I used the Terminate, and I used both Jaces, and I also used the Dreadbore. So I think we have no answers to this dragon. In the end, we ended up dying to the monkey. Iteration. Okay, so hand, bottom, exile. Play that. Fetch for a basic island. I think I have no outs though. Odawara. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm 1 short of casting Odawara. Dress down doesn't do anything. Lightning bolt doesn't do anything, so I think I'm just dead. We get dragoned. Okay, so I think I obviously want disputes. I think I want Pierce. And I definitely want Dreadbore. Don't know how I feel about Spellbomb. Don't know how I feel about Sugu. Like, Sugu would have been fantastic multiple times, but I don't think that necessarily makes it a good card. So Dress Down, I think it's bad. Maybe Thoughtseize is fine. No, there's no way Thoughtseize is good. Nile Spellbomb? Spellbomb's probably fine. Maybe do something like this. Yeah, let's try something like this. Okay, so we have 25 lands. We have 25 lands we're on the play. I think I'm gonna ship it. Sounds much better. Keep this, and I think we're gonna bottom Dreadbore. Play land, say go. I wonder if my opponent kept in Lightning Bolts. They're probably gonna do some serious fetch shocking here. There's a monkey. And I think I want a Lightning Bolt. I think I want a Bolt here because push allows me to kill big Shredders. Here we're gonna go with another fetch shock. We're gonna deploy the Shredder. I doubt my opponent has too many Lightning Bolts in their deck. Maybe they do because they saw Shredder and they also saw Jace. So maybe they just cut Unholy Heats instead. I could see that being the case. Opponent fetches. Steam Vents. What do you got, OP? Double Heat. It's pretty good. It's pretty good for me. That was a fine exchange. We did Hero Land Drop, which is very nice. Now we have Spell Pierce, Push, and Counterspell. Not bad. Bubble resolves. Where are my Sugus, man? Okay, opponent does nothing. Play my land, say go. Hitting land drops is great here, obviously. Taking a hit from the mulligan a little bit. Definitely feeling the mulligan here. If opponent charms, I'm probably gonna pierce it. If they just consider, I don't care. Consider and bean counterspell. Okay. I assume they have some disputes lined up or whatever. DRC, I don't care about. We can just push it. Push it. Tap. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we're just going to pass the turn, see what my opponent does. And then on their end step, I'm going to Archmage's Charm draw 2 if they don't do anything. I think I want to draw 2 here. I could wait until I hit 1 more land drop so I can blank Spell Pierce, but I think my opponent's going to have Dispute more so than Spell Pierce. Yeah. So, can't blank the Dispute there, unfortunately. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have to pass here. Because if I play Jace and then my opponent taps and Murktides, then they dispute the Jace or whatever, and then they untap and Murktide. I'm probably gonna lose. All right, so tap land and say go. Land and say go. Both of us are playing the way the game. I'm basically gonna exchange this Spell Pierce for basically anything that I can. My hope is that my opponent will eventually tap low, and then we can get him. Gonna wait until I get at least a little bit of value from that Sugu. Like, hopefully my opponent plays a DRC, which they showed me that they have in their deck. Charm draw 2. Yeah, it's bad for me, but my opponent played around Piers beautifully there. We do have more charms than my opponent does. I think we're gonna counterspell that. And I want to fight right now. Still in my opponent's turn. Really would like to see it, you know. Ooh, that's great. Well, oh, this is very, very good for us. So now we're gonna get to Sugu. We get that going. Red, black. Here's Sugu. They can't dispute this. Now this forces the Murktide. This forces the Murktide, which is also pretty nice. But yeah, Sugu is great here. Seems like my opponent's they're not familiar with the Sugu, huh? They're reading the card like, wait, it does what? It does what? Yes, the Sugu, that's it all. Okay, Sugu final resolves, kills DRC, and then we're gonna see what my opponent does here. If they Murktide with counter backup, then I get to counterspell the Murktide, force my opponent to use the counterspell. Yeah, and the Sugu does this, right? Like, it forces my opponent to Murktide right now, because otherwise they're not going to have a graveyard, so it's pretty nice. Pretty nice. So, opponent does this. We counter off a basic island. Opponent's probably going to counter our counter spell. And then next turn we get to Jace with Pierce backup. Yeah, there's the counter spell. Murktide resolves. Graveyards are going to get exiled. And then we're going to Jace with Pierce backup. Ooh, they also get Monkey. It's kind of problematic actually, because that kills the Jace. Ugh. Yeah, that's actually a big problem. So, I mean, I still have to do this. So we bounce Merc. At least this forces my opponent to, like, spend their turn attacking the Jace, so they can't go face. Yep. And then we're gonna have Sugu to block the Monkey, which is nice. So Jace down, which is pretty unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Shredder. So opponent's hand is Murktide plus Unknown. This Shredder is pretty scary, not gonna lie. Would love to see another Sugu, I guess. Fatal Push would be great. Probably gotta counter that. This Spell Pierce is looking really bad. Really, really bad. Yep. Spell Pierce looking heinous. Spell Pierce looking absolutely heinous. It's kind of unreal, actually, right? Like, how everything lined up for my opponent here. And again, like, they just drew more iterations than I did once again. They drew 1, I drew 0. Let's see if we can find the first iteration. Monkey connects. Land is gone. I think my opponent should just cast a Murktide here. It would be 5/5. And then at that point, we're forced into, I guess, iteration. Yeah, we just need to draw, like, iteration into something. Yep. Big dragons, big good. Yeah, that's we died. Unfortunate. Man, like, my opponent having the monkey on that specific turn so they could clear the Jace without any problem ended up being such a big deal. So things just did not line up for us, unfortunately. Also, this Spell Pierce looked very bad. I think that I may have overboarded, and this should have been like something else. Either a removal spell or even just like Fury or something. But yeah, this Spell Pierce just, it was so hard to cash in. And yeah, I don't know, maybe it should have been the third spell one. That would have given us a lot more agency about how the game played out. But yeah, that's just, you know, my inexperience with the deck, obviously. Alright, see you next round. Alright, round number 2, here we go. Hand looks pretty good. Let's keep it. We have a push for early interaction. We have solid mana. We have a bird, dress down. Many different places that this hand can go, which is nice. Alright, turn 1 Inkmoth Nexus into Springleaf Drum. It's a pretty good Sugu matchup. I assume that we're playing against Hammer. We draw a basic island, which is a pretty good draw. We're looking really good here. Like, my opponent's gonna need to have the nuts. Like, the absolute nuts in order to win this. Like, it's gonna be really hard for my opponent to win this game, I think. Stoneforge Mystic. That's kind of fine. So I think what I'm gonna do here is end of turn I'm gonna push this Stoneforge. And my opponent could be setting up like Cigar the Save into Inkmoth, try to kill you, but next turn I get to play Shredder. And I guess I can even just hold up Terminate and then just like play Sugu and call it a day. But I'm definitely going to use my mana efficiently here. We're going to just Fatal Push the Stoneforge, use my mana. Opponent has Hammer. Oof, pretty good draw. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go for Shredder this turn. Like, I may need to use this Shredder to just chomp block if my opponent has like, if their hand is land into Cigar the Save, activating Moth, Colossus Hammer. That's a lot of ifs though. And just having the Shredder in play sets me up so much better for the subsequent turns. I imagine here's the Paladin, which is pretty good with Hammer in play. Yep, there goes Paladin. And again, I could have held up Terminate this turn, but I think that this just sets up Sugu so much better. And I can Fury the Paladin next turn if I want. Here we get to Connive too, which is nice. I think we're just being in land? Think so. Maybe that's a little bit greedy. Opponent gets to draw a card there. Equip onto the Thopter. But we don't need to chump block this. We can just take 10. That's fine. Next turn we get to Sugu plus Fury, which is nice. Take 10. Yeah, I think we're just gonna do that. So let's do this. I guess my opponent could have Spell Pierce, so I should have sequenced that differently. Maybe I should have sequenced that the other way around. I think I'm just beating the dress down here. Yeah, I think so. And I could technically die here, so I'm just gonna chill. I don't think the 2 points of damage matter at all, basically. This opponent have here, Stoneforge. It's a good start. Good start for opponent. Find Sword, Fire, and Ice. Okay. So we're gonna need to kind of find a push or something. Hey, well that's much better. So I think we're just gonna do this right now. So Volt there. And do I just want to draw 2 here? Yeah, I'm just gonna pass. Because if my opponent has something like a Paladin, I'm gonna want to counter it. Am I countering the Sword though? Ugh. Yeah, I guess that resolves. So if opponent plays the Sword, we connive, bin that, pass the turn. So now we get to blow this up, or steal this, I guess. Kind of forced to do that actually. So swing there. I guess my opponent could activate and take the Inkmoth. They could activate and suit up the Inkmoth, but if they do, then I think I don't need to do anything. If they're suiting up the Sentinel, I'm just gonna steal it. I'm gonna say yes. This is effectively a Time Walk. So that fizzles because they don't control this anymore. But I had to do it in response, otherwise then this is gonna have Pro Blue and I can't do anything anymore. So it's a little unfortunate that we don't get to connect with the Sword, but it's still, like, that's the correct play. But yeah, the Sophie is pretty good here, obviously. Prismara Command is probably my best draw. Like, if I draw Prismara Command, I'm probably 100% to win. Like, straight up. Get the Lounge, draw. It's a good start. That's a really good start. Hey, look at that. So this goes to hand, this to the bottom, this exile. And I think we're just doing everything. Like, I can't block anyway. So this is gonna trigger Sugu, Sugu grows. And if my opponent spends their turn suiting up the Inkmoth Nexus, then we're just gonna get a very clean 2-for-1. So we're just gonna go Shock, Destroy. So 2 damage, 20 target, destroy target artifact. Red, 1, black. We're kind of in trouble if my opponent has a Spell Pierce, which they do. We do get to draw a card though. Did get to draw the card from the Sentinel. Okay. So here we're taking 3 and a shock though. 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're not gonna have lethal. That's a really good Spell Pierce. That's potentially a game winning Spell Pierce. Potentially a game winning Spell Pierce. Maybe I should have kept the Lightning Bolt, but if I had kept the Lightning Bolt, then I wouldn't have had the land to actually cast the bolt, so it would have been in the same spot. Opponent draws Sire, which is very good. Answer to Inkmoth. That's an answer to Inkmoth. We may just get there. We may just get there. On the very last turn. We may just get there on the very, very last turn. Because this is just so money intensive for my opponent. Like, they have to do that. And what I'm going to do, because I drew exactly push, I even get to force my opponent to spend 1 more mana. By that I mean, you know, they're just gonna... They need to tap the Inkmoth Nexus. So, Fatal Push. And then the Sugu's lethal. What? Main deck Blacksmith Skill. Alright. I mean, we couldn't have played around that, so I guess we were dead. Funny enough, we're gonna lose to this Sword of Fire and Ice Shock. We're gonna lose to the Sword of Fire and Ice Shock as opposed to the Inkmoth Infect. Anyway, this matchup's very, very good, so bring those in, bring that in, and the Dreadbore. I think Counterspell is very bad. And I think that's it. I think that's all that we want. Maybe I could play that match a little bit better. I don't think there were... I'm trying to think if there was any mistake I could have made. I mean, I think I did miss a couple of points of damage where I didn't attack, but I think it was correct to not attack when that was the case. Because my opponent was you know, potentially representing lethal with an ideal set of cards. So I think it was correct to not attack. And at the same time, I think that I wouldn't have been able to deal 5. I think I would have been able to deal 4 damage or something. But anyway, yeah, my opponent drew exactly the cards that they needed. Particularly, I was not expecting main deck the 1 mana protection spell. That really got me good. I guess maybe on the play Counterspell is reasonable. I just don't think it's better than all my other cards. Like, all my other cards are either card advantage spells or ways to interact with the board. Well, Counterspell only interacts on the stack. I guess Thoughtseize is reasonable. Maybe I should be bringing in Thoughtseize. Maybe Thoughtseize over one of these Charms. And maybe over one of these Jaces. Just to lower the curve a little bit. Because otherwise it's going to be like a little bit clunky. Again, like, the deck by design has a bunch of 3s. And like in this matchup, like, my 3s are just so powerful that I'm obviously... Like, this is the price that I'm willing to pay. Also, Magus without Ragavan is maybe not where I want to be. Worst case scenario is a red card to pitch to Fury. Was just talking to my opponent in the chat, and they're a fellow Argentinian player, and they were telling me that I was the one who got them into Amulet, and apparently they got into the Mythic Championship thanks to Amulet. So that's very beautiful story to hear. Also, this hand is beautiful, so let's keep it. So we can go turn 1, Lounge, and then we can either bird or push on 2. We also have access to Fury. I'm probably not gonna Fury for a while because I think we're gonna potentially need this iteration. With love for my opponent, I was gonna say to not play a 1-drop, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna play the Shredder here, and I think I want to get a duel. This is gonna fetch a basic though. Maybe I should have gotten basic Swamp and basic Mountain because I have Magus in my deck, but next turn I'm probably going to Thoughtseize, and we can Thoughtseize plus push if we really need to. 2 mana, Stoneforge. Okay. If my opponent double spells here, we get to Connive, which is nice. Connive, more like Conice. We also get to potentially Iteration into Fury, which would be pretty gross. Sword of Fire and Ice. Mist Land Drop. Geesh. Right, so... If I'm going to Fury, I can't Iteration. And I probably don't want to Thoughtseize. I think I'm just going to Fury... Pitch Iteration, and I'm just going to chill here, holding up Archmage's Charm. So do that while my opponent stepped out, attack, and then I'm probably going to end step, draw 2. Relic of Progenitus. Yes, that resolves. Wonder why they have that. Like, they saw Hitotsugu, right? Draw 2. That's very nice. I think I'm gonna Thoughtseize here. If I Thoughtseize, that's a very mana inefficient turn, however. If I Thoughtseize, it's a very, very mana inefficient turn. I think I want to save the Thoughtseize for a turn where I can double spell. So I'm just basically be holding up Prismatic Command here. They drew second land. Good for them. Exile Fury. Pass the turn. Huh. Well, I think we're just going to pass. Now that I drew Bolt, I can Thoughtseize safely. Because I didn't want to, you know, leave the guard down. So now thought we can, you know, spend this turn to resolve Thoughtseize and still be able to kill something my opponent plays or whatever. If my opponent... If they Spell Pierce, I probably pay, I think. Yeah, I think I pay if they Spell Pierce. Interesting. Well, Mana Leak seems really awkward for my opponent here. So I probably take the Teferi. And we can play around everything else. I don't think my opponent can afford to attack, so... Yeah, multiple removal spells so we can play around the skill. Mana Leak is so mana intensive. Don't know how I feel about that card in the Hammer deck. Also, by the way, skill actually protects any permanent, which is pretty wild, honestly. But, you know, if I attempt to Prismatic Command a drum or something. So opponent can go for it here. They're probably not going to, but they could. Land is very nice. And I think we pass. Maybe I should have attacked. It incentivizes my opponent to go for it. And they don't have enough mana to protect through everything that I have. So maybe I should have just attacked. Ah yes, the ATB that land. I think I'm actually just going to command to draw 2 and make a treasure. So draw 2 and create a treasure. I assume my opponent's not going to do anything, but maybe they do. Maybe they might leak these. Yeah, I'd really doubt it. Definitely beating that and probably beating Fatal Push. Land is great. Now we can start attacking. Swing. Pinga. We also made their mana leak very bad. Skill is still pretty good though. Skill is still pretty good. We still have Magus, so I think I'm gonna chill on this Archmage's Charm. On this Polluted Delta, sorry. Because I don't know if I want to go get an island or a basic swamp. Take 1, opponent. By the way, Ragavan would be so much better than this Shredder right here. Shadow Spear into play, you got it. A little bit surprised by that. Paladin? Stoneforge. I could just counter this. I think I'm not going to though. Because I'm going to bold these on end step. Opponent's going to protect. Honestly, the most annoying thing is the fact that my opponent gets to Nettle Cyst. Okay. That's pretty good. So I'm probably going to bold the Stoneforge on end step. Makes my opponent's mana awkward. Alright, so opponent does something in response. What is it? 3 mana to Sword in response. Trigger Shredder. I think we're beating this Hall of the Storm Giant. So I get to bolt again. Yeah, so let's bolt again. Now that my opponent stepped out, we get to shred again. And I think I'm actually going to draw 2 first. So I have more information for this shredder. That's a nice draw. So this is dead now. Man, we can go so many different places here. So their hand is Hammer, Skill, Cyst, Leak. I think I'm actually going to discard Thoughtseize. Maybe I should have discarded land. Oh. Hehehe. Well, iteration. Hand, bottom, exile. Land. And we're just going to Sugu here. Black, red, 1. Sugu. Shred. Discard the land. Blow up everything. Swing 2. Next turn we get to iterate again. We have push up. Okay. I'm not going to use the push here that allows my opponent to use the skill. And what I'm planning to do, because it's only a shock, right? It's a shock on a draw of a card. The draw of a card I don't love, but next turn I'm going to have more mana. I'm going to have more cards because I'm going to resolve the iteration. I'm going to get to look at more cards with Shredder. The mana leak is dead. The skill is very annoying, but we're working through it. Okay, like silo, graveyards, iteration. Nice. So hand, bottom, exile. Play that. I'm gonna fetch for a swamp. 1, 2, 3. Play Magus. Swing. I think that probably locks it up. They do have desist. They do have desist, which is a little bit annoying, but it's not super annoying. So the mana leak is just dead now. So is the hammer, really. They're suiting it up, but we have Aura, so we're fine. So end step, we're gonna push. That's gonna make it so we get to connive. Push that. We're gonna skill. So now we connive. Discard the basic. Untap. Jace is nice. So discard, bounce. 1, 2, 3, 4. Jace. And I think we're just drawing 3 here. Let's actually... Yeah, let's just draw 3. I just want to dig for answers, basically. Because the way that we lose is my opponent top decks something and suits it up with Sword of Fire and Ice. The Ink Moth doesn't do anything anymore. Saga is at the draw. Mana Leak is already at the draw. They have a lot of really bad draws. So it's just a matter of... This is a Paladin. That's probably their best possible draw. It's their best possible draw. Alright. That's a Paladin. Could have been that. Literally the best possible draw. Alright. Maybe, I guess I should have plussed with Jace. I guess I should have plussed with Jace. Silly me. Silly me. Guess I should have plussed with Jace. I mean, we still have like a crazy amount of good top decks here. And we have an active Jace. So, man, that was one turn that we needed to dodge. That's brutal. That is absolutely brutal. Then the Paladin drew them into the Ornithopter. Alright, so Fatal Push one time. I guess we have Push, Dreadbore, Terminate. Oh, no, I guess Dreadbore and Terminate doesn't do it. It needs to be Push. We have 4 pushes that we're drawing towards. I guess 2 pushes that we're drawing towards. Can't bounce, so we just have to just draw and hope. Alright, those were some reasonable draws, but it's a little bit awkward because I have only a single swamp. The thing is, so if I Sugu, I get to blow up the Thopter and blow up the Colossus Hammer. But if I don't kill... So if I Sugu, I kill Thopter and Hammer. And then Pure Still plus Sword and Cyst kills me. Or I can push the Paladin. And then... I think I just have to put both of this back or whatever. And I just have to pass the turn. I think I just have to pass the turn and hope that my opponent makes a mistake. Like I can't beat another skill. But I think I have to, I think it's required for me to, if my opponent suits everything up on the Thopter, for example, then I get to push it, and then I can untap and do something else. And then I get another look with Jace, and then we're going places. The best case scenario for me is my opponent goes all in on the Paladin. My opponent just suits up the Paladin with everything, and just but that's the worst possible place, so they're not going to do it. So they attack like this. Okay, so this is very good for me. This is very, very good for me. Because now I can use the Shredder to chump the Thopter to protect Jace. And I get to push the Paladin. But again, I lose to a skill. So that cannot be avoided. That simply cannot be avoided. So this is just what we got. Their Paladin top deck was outstanding. Okay, so we get to play on. Because now I'm going to get to Sugu, I'm going to get to blow up the Thopter, and I get to blow up the Hammer in the process. So now I think we are Gucci. Unless my opponent has another Paladin, in which case... Okay, that's fine. That we don't care about. Also, they tapped wrong. So, draw. Let's see what we see. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad. So, gonna put that on that on top, and that on top. We're gonna Sugu, and now Sugu for lethal. Got him. I think I like this setup. Mana leak is a little bit annoying, but I don't think I want counterspell. Maybe I do want counterspell, just to lower my curve a little bit. Over one of the Thoughtseizes and maybe over the second charm. But I think I do like all my other cards, however. So let's submit this and see how things go. Alright, a bunch of removal and some cards. Somewhat reasonable mana. You love to see it. I guess there's no need for me to do anything here. So I'm just gonna play Sanders Lounge and pass. It's a lot of fatal pushes. Like a lot of fatal pushes. Okay, can we find the dress down is the question. Opponent has an aggressive draw. So I'm probably gonna have to untap and push the giver. It's close. What if I Shredder here? Opponent cannot both equip and attack. I am in trouble if my opponent has like a bunch of things, right? But I think where I'm gonna take this turn to shred. It means my opponent just can't just attack me, so it forces my opponent to not be able to go super wide. And then I still assume that my opponent is just gonna spend this turn to Saga. So if they have what's his name into like Sigarda save into nonsense, that would be bad, but I think they just, yeah, this is like best case scenario. Opponent just has nothing. Yeah, we're looking pretty good here now. Let's play this, and I think I want to pass the turn. Puts my opponent in a pretty awkward spot, and then we just double push, and we get to connive in the process, which is very nice. So they're gonna put this Sword of Fireness into play here, and I assume that they're gonna try to suit up. I think I'm gonna have to fetch in response because of Piting Needle. Because if they Piting Needle my thing, I get super destroyed. They do get Drum. Let's see what they suit up here. Alright, so they do that. So if they have skill, we're gonna be in trouble. But let's push here. And now we're gonna, in response... Oh, gross. Gross. So I guess we're gonna have to push right now. It's not the end of the world, because we get to untap and kill this. Yeah, so they're gonna get to give protection to this thing. But yeah, the skills have been have been so good. Well, Magus doesn't do anything here, so I'm gonna just pitch the Magus here. So that dies. We're gonna take 5, and I think I'm just going to, while my opponent stepped out, just kill everything. That's very sexy. So that's probably game. Black, red, Sugu, blow everything up, push here. It's pretty gross. Swing for 3. Yeah, that's probably game. Just like that. That's probably game. That's pretty good first step, but so red, black, just gonna blow this up. And I really don't want my opponent to draw cards, so Sigarda Save resolves. Dress Down probably locks it up. And now we're just gonna Jace Plus, I think. Because my opponent is obviously looking for a land. That's a land, so I'm gonna put that on the bottom. They did find a land anyway. So the nice thing we can do here is we can minus on Vessel of the All-Consuming, and we can recast it. That would get around Sigarda Sade. I'm probably going to... So we're seeing for 7 here. So if I minus here, I don't think I can really lose. So minus there, swing for a bunch. Play another Shredder, which is lethal. Here we go. They get a Saga, but I don't think that does anything because I have them dead in the air. Also, if they play Stoneforge, I dress down in response. So I think this should be game. The Hammer matchup is just very good for this deck, and Shredder kind of helps that. Alright, there we go. You have it. I win the match. Alright, round number 3. This hand looks serviceable. Let's keep it. So, it's a little bit awkward with this Archmage's Charm, I think. Playing against Jegantha, by the way. So this can be mono red Prowess, or it can be Affinity. His hand's probably pretty good against Affinity. We have the dress down for the Saga tokens. It could also be, I don't know, like a million spike decks. He just always randomly ends up with a Jegantha in the side. Okay, so it's mono red. Swift Spear. So this kind of matchup, it's actually pretty solid for us because we have so much removal. Whereas something like Burn would not be as good for us because they use the stack a lot. So anything that we can point removal spells at it just makes the matchup so much better for us. So this is going to be interesting, actually, like which land to play next, because, okay, so that gives me options. This is better for my curve. Because if I go Delta, yeah, I probably just have to cast spells every turn, right? So I'm just, if I push this thing, it's going to be dressed down looking pretty bad here. But I can, push the Swift Spear now, and next turn we can Charm. I wonder if my opponent's playing Magus. That would be an interesting thing. Or like main deck Blood Moon of some sort. I doubt that's the case. That used to be the case back in the day. Like this Prowess decks used to main deck Blood Moons for whatever reason, but it's possible that that's not the case anymore. But there was an argument for fetching on my turn because I would, I am enabling light up the stage by fetching now. Even if I push Swift Spear, I'm enabling light up the stage. I think I'm gonna push this before damage anyway. So we're gonna see what my opponent does here. I could also just take it and pass the turn. I could also just cycle. Yeah, I'm just gonna push this right now, which is a little bit awkward again, because I'm enabling light up the stage, but man, this dress down is just being super awkward right now, unfortunately. But yeah, it is what it is. Too bad that we didn't play against Affinity or like a Saga deck or something, because dress down is obviously a lot better there. Or against Asmo, whatever. I'm assuming my opponent has light up the stage here. Yeah, indeed. At least they kind of whiffed. Like, and Holy Heat is dead. And I guess they did find land, but I'm probably going to steal this Soulscar Mage. And I guess I want to do this right now. Because of, again, of Magus. So here's an island. Say go. Maybe I shouldn't be playing around Magus and I should have saved the fetch for Jace. But like, if I resolve Jace, then I get Jace going anyway. So that Unholy Heat is not enabled. And that matters because if my opponent plays any spell here, then I'm probably going to steal the Soulscar Mage. Reckless Impulse. Okay. Underworld Breach has been exiled. Interesting. Right. Okay. Can I have that, please? So now Heat can't kill the Soulscar Mage. Opponent deep in attack about this. Like, if they're not using their mana, they should just like cast this Heat, like targeting the Soulscar itself. It's not gonna kill it, but it doesn't matter. Like, it puts it in the graveyard, that enables Delirium for the future. It also is one more card. Like, they literally have another Underworld Breach sitting here, so they should, like, that's one more card that goes to the graveyard that my opponent can use. So if they do have something to do here, they should definitely do it. Yeah. If they don't have something else, is what I meant to say. So this is just fine. So opponent is going to cast Breach next turn. It's kind of nice. Alright. So I guess we just pass. And I'm not attacking because like I can deal my opponent 1.2 if I resolve the Jace, but so if they cast the Underworld Breach here, they can cast the Bubble for free. They can cast the Swift Spear, I guess. Okay, so after some tanking, opponent does Breach. I think I'm gonna let it resolve because it forces my opponent to exile cards from their graveyard. So this is effectively like a free Monastery Swift Spear, and that's it. So I can just counter the Swift Spear if I wanted to. I think I'm going to instead dress down and see what I draw. Also, I tapped poorly. I could draw Terminate. So I was just, you know, not paying attention there. We draw a card. Okay, so we drew nothing. Do I care about this? I kind of feel like I do care about it, but I actually don't. I just have way too many removal spells, right? I have way too many removal spells. Now both things go to the graveyard. Now we Jace. Actually, so what I could do is I could like play a tapped land, and then next turn I can Jace with counterspell. I'm just gonna Jace and Brainstorm. Ooh, trigger Prowess. Sexy. My opponent can bolt the Jace. It's kind of fine. There's Lightning Bolt. So now we get to shuffle these away. I think I want to shuffle that and one of the fetches. Play this out. And I think I'll say go here. Actually, I think, man, this is... No, I'm gonna bolt right now. I'm actually gonna bolt right now. The reason for bolting right now is because my opponent can't really protect the Swift Spear. Because even if they Lava Dart, then the Soulscar Mage gives this counters. Whereas if I let my opponent tap and I attempt to bolt it, then my opponent's gonna be able to kill the Soulscar in response, so they don't get -1/-1 counters, and that's worse for me. I think my opponent just has an answer to the Jace anyway, so that's okay. Yeah, so this is fine. Like, my opponent is just gonna Lava Dart here a little bit, but the Soulscar Mage means that this Swift Spear is gonna die on my opponent's next turn due to state-based effects. Also, that tells me that they have Lava Dart. Otherwise, they would have gone face, because if they had Bolt, they could have just killed the Jace regardless. And it's kind of nice for me because now, you know, they sack the land, which puts them a little bit behind, makes their Fiery Islet worse. And whatever they do, they have to kill this Jace now. They can't let me on top with the Jace. Alright, Bloodstained Mire into Lava Dart. Yeah, we knew that the Lava Dart was coming because of my opponent's play last turn. Fury is pretty nice. So let's shred here. And I think I'm just gonna swing. Now the question is whether do we play this or not. I think that no is the answer. No, actually I do, because if I find a land, I can Fury with counter backup next turn. So because of that, I think I do. I was thinking about holding it for Shredder purposes. And I could see an argument both sides, actually. I could see an argument both ways. There's just like arguments for playing it and arguments for not playing it, but I think it's fine. We are at 11 with counterspell in hand, which is nice. Reckless Impulse, no. I think countering the draw 2 there is the way to go. If my opponent plays any other spell, we get to shred, which is nice. Would love to see an iteration, though. Iteration is probably my best draw. I think I'm just gonna swing with the shredder here. Don't think I can really afford to play this out for no value. So I'm just gonna spend this turn using Castle Ventress. It's not great, but kind of is what it is. Bolt my shredder. You got it. That's a bolt that doesn't go to my face, so low-key excited about that. Also, by killing the shredder there, it makes it so like I can use Jegantha. I can use the Fury plus Soulscar Mage combo in order to keep Jegantha in check, which is nice. Okay, those are some medium cards, really. Like, they're not too super scary. Really looking for iteration here. Alright, my Soulscar Mage is dead. You've done it, opponent. You've done it. Lava Dart your face. Okay. They can't have Bedlam Reveler, so Scry 2. Interesting. Super interesting. So we can go top. Yeah, so let's go top. Now the question is, do we want to draw 2 or not? I think I don't want to draw 2, and I just want to basically stop my opponent from potentially drawing 2. Yep. Counter target spell. Now we Sugu. We don't get to kill anything, but we're gonna get to exile all the graveyards, which is nice. We still have Fury next turn if we need to kill a 1-drop or something. It's just a little bit awkward that both of these spells were 3 mana, so I couldn't castle any of those turns. Just 1 mana too many. Opponent doesn't buy Jegantha. Jesus. Well, even though I am the control deck, my opponent managed to draw many more draw 2s than I have. And they managed to breach precisely on the turn before the Sugu pops off. C'est la vie, I guess. So they're gonna get to refuel their entire hand here. Probably means that I lose. Because they're gonna get to recast this bubble many times. They have 15 cards in their graveyard, so they're gonna get to cast bubble 4 times, I guess. I guess they could just level dart. They should, at least one of these should be the light up stage, I think, and then the rest of them can be bubbles. But yeah, obviously that didn't work out for me. Sugu lines up very well against my opponent's deck. Actually, they have like mono 1-drops and Underworld Breach, and Sugu deals with both. A little bit awkward with how my drop lined up exactly against the current situation. I don't think I'm dead here. Well, I may be dead actually. 1, 2. I go down to 2, so I'm not dead, but I'm close to dead. So I need to draw a counter spell, and I can't really set it up. Oh no, Lava Dart kills me. They have exactly enough cards in the graveyard to kill me. I guess they have one more than exactly. Yeah, that Underworld Breach was very good. So now they just recast the bubble and I die. Wait, why is my opponent... This is game 1? They only have 11 minutes on their clock? How? I have 20 in mine. Every time I play this deck, I just get paired against the slowest opponents. Just glacially slow opponents. Pretty devastating. Because these leagues are just like, I take a long time to win already. And like, my opponents, for whatever reason, decide that they want to also take a million years to win as well. Okay, so Piers seems okay. Sugu seems fine. Don't think I like Dreadbore. Dress Down sucks. So I guess Dreadbore comes back in. At least it pitches to Fury. Prismari Command out. Nile Spellbomb in, I guess. Like, I'm not excited about this configuration, but it seems like the best that I can do. So let's submit it. Alright, what do we got here? Okay, it seems reasonable to me. I don't love... this Sugu seems a little bit hard to cast here, but I think that we can get there. Like, it's somewhat easy for us to get there. Soulscar Mage. I think I'm just gonna push this off a Water Grave, and then I'm gonna be able to hold up Counterspell. So shock, fetch, shock, push, land, go. Bubble resolves. Bubble me. So they know when I'm drawing. Reckless Impulse. I guess I counter this. Let's see what we draw. I think if I find Lounge. So we're gonna have to play this out past the turn. A little bit awkward. Like, I think I would have slammed the Sugu there if I had found an untapped red source, just so I can get that going. Opponent gets to bubble trick here, but they don't. Okay. Look at the top of my deck again. Hopefully they play like another Soulscar Mage or something. Bolt my face, okay. Light up the stage. I think it's better to counter. I think, I'm not sure that that's the case, but with my opponent, that was basically a 2-for-1 in a way. Oh man, that's, that's so brutal. Alright, please don't have the Underworld Breach, please. Alright, sweet. I'm gonna pass the turn. Now that I drew Counterspell and I can actually counter an Underworld Breach. My opponent did not put Jegantha in. I wonder if they just forgot about it. Because they didn't do it last game. Didn't do it this game either. Swift Spear's fine. Monkey. Well, I guess I'm gonna kill the dashed monkey. So kill there. We really want to find any untapped land. Is probably our best draw. That way we can Sugu into hold up Counterspell for a breach. So any at all, any land, and then just untapped. Yeah. Unfortunately, I think I have to do this. So if my opponent has breach, we're probably gonna lose. I think that we lose if they have breach. Not super certain, but I imagine that that's gonna be enough for me to lose. Because they have bubble in the graveyard. Pretty devastating, honestly. Again, we're playing 25 lands. Not super likely that we can't hit our land draw by turn 6. Just don't breach me, bro. Yep. Alright. That was the turn. If I dodge that turn, we win the game easily. But c'est la vie. So this is going to draw my opponent at least 2 cards, maybe 3. And hopefully they spend their turn, like, you know, just putting creatures into play. That would be best case scenario, honestly. I guess maybe they can dash a monkey or something. But yeah, I mean, that would be best case scenario for us, because then we can like either play a second Sugu or... It's so... Ugh, just sucks. I think they don't have lethal, but close to it. And they can't light up the stage here unless they do it second main. No, this is best case scenario. This is the best thing that could have happened, honestly. Because this monkey is not gonna hit me, and they're only gonna get to like hit me for 2 and draw a card. So this is like far and away the best possible thing that could have happened. Now we can either, if we find a land, we're gonna play a second Sugu. If we don't, we're just going to not find land. Jesus. So I guess I'm just gonna Fury here. So we're gonna go Shredder into Fury Pitch Sugu. We get to Shred here, bin that, make it 2/4, and we're gonna deal 3 and 1. We have counter spell up, and we have an active Shredder. Sugu comes to hang out next turn. Soulscar Mage is fine. Mage into bubble. We're shredding. I think this is fine. Another Shredder. I probably hold on to this one. I think I hold on to this one. And we're gonna pass the turn. The reason to hold on to this one is so I can hold up counterspell, and I can pitch this if my opponent plays 2 spells. Like, they have to play multiple spells to win, right? Otherwise this vessel is gonna start to do the thing. So because of that, I think I want to hold up counterspell here. That's a DRC. I think that's fine. DRC into land. Into nothing. Okay. Feels good to me. Iteration. Not a bad draw. So hand, bottom, exile. Play this. And I think we're going to push the Soulscar Mage. Because the DRC is just going to jump attack into the Shredder if I want to. Bolt the vessel in response. Interesting. So my opponent can enable Delirium here. I think I let this bolt resolve. Bind Lava Dart. And Holy Heat. Okay. I think this one we do counter. So we're going to Shred first. Shred into Bind that. Is this a hit for 2? I think this is just a hit for 2, so I'm going to let that go. Yeah, that's fine. Becomes a 1/3 again, but then I connive into Bind a land. That's a push. And now past the turn, opponent's going to draw Fiery Islet. We have counter spell. Probably going to take this 3 damage here. Opponent's got a Lava Dart in the bin, but that's fine. So this has to attack. We take 3 down to 8, then fetch down to 7. We're at a virtual 6, but then we're holding up counter spell, and we get to Sugu as well. Opponent has 2 cards in hand, one of which is a land. So I think we're Gucci here. I think we're Gucci. Red, blue, black, Sugu. I guess my opponent could have like double breach or something, and then I would actually die. Leaving Dredger, Shredder back to block. Swift Spear. Yep, Swift Spear is good. What's your last card in hand? I draw 2. Shredder, discard. They have Lava Dart. So that's 1 more point of damage. Yeah, I think I'm gonna counter this. So I'm trying to think whether I take this or I let this go. I think I'm gonna take this. If I block, my opponent pings me and this dies. If I don't block, then I take 4 down to 3 and I die to Lightning Bolt. So I guess I actually just have to block here. Hall of Storm Giants. I guess we're gonna play it. That's a blocker. So we want to dodge a draw 2 this turn. Alright. No cards in hand, so not much to do here. At this point, I'm just assuming that my opponent forgot that there's a Jegantha in their companion zone. Do I hold on to this land? So my best draws are Archmage's Charm or what's his name, so I think I'm gonna chill here. Maybe I should have attacked with Hall. Light up the stage. Well, good thing I did not attack with Hall. It's another light up the stage. It's pretty good. I block. Well, the good thing is that the vessel can start clocking now. Oh yeah, big time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Activate. Here's a 7/7 worth 3. Would like to block, please. Nice. Okay, so... well, we're just gonna Jace here. Jace Brainstorm. They have another light up the stage, so I have to draw something here. Iteration works. Blue, red, iteration. Ugh. So, hand, bottom, exile. Play this out as I go. No attacks. I think we're probably just gonna win through the clock. I mean, I think we're in okay shape here. Unless my opponent has like Bolt Lava Dart or Bolt Volt or something. So they're a combination of cards that kill me. That's a Dashed Monkey. I'll definitely block your Dashed Monkey. In case you were wondering. Yes, I will block your Dashed Monkey. Sure, you got me. I'll take my 2 for 1. Now the light up the stage goes to waste. Let's see, draw. Draw 3. Counterspell probably locks it up. So put that on top. Put that on top probably. Play my land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's 7 damage. The second main phase Swift Spear. You'll love to see it. Alright, so we would have won the game even if my opponent didn't have only 20 seconds in the clock. So I think that it just doesn't matter. We're just going to submit this and my opponent's going to time out. Yeah, so my opponent just, joined the game just to concede because they obviously can't win in 15 seconds. This hand was pretty strong though. Alright, 2-1. Alright. Hand's a little bit ugly. I mean, there are certain matches where this hand is incredible and there are other matches where this hand sucks. I'm going to ship it. Much better. More diverse hand. I think I'm just going to ship the Fury. And then we can go turn 1 fetch for Sanders Lounge. Hallowed Fountain into Esper Sentinel. Okay. So this is going to be another Hammer Gamer. And we have Sugu in the opening hand. So feeling pretty good. We just need to make sure that we, actually find the Sugu. So I think I'm going to Bolt here. Actually, I'm going to push because we only have a single black mana. So push here right now. Pay for tax. Go. Esper Sentinel is one of their best cards against us. So I feel like as long as we find the land, we're just going to win. Oh, yikes. We kept the 1 under. I know, okay. So we're going to have an actual game then. Alright, so we're just going to Sugu here. Easy Sugu. The easiest Sugu. Red, black. Here we go. Oh man, it just feels so dirty. I mean, as you can see, if you're expecting a metagame filled with Hammer Time, I don't think there's a better deck to be playing. I struggle to think of a better deck to be playing if you expect Hammer Time to be a popular deck. It honestly feels unfair. Sentinel's good. Sentinel's good for sure. Caldra complete. I guess that's the way to do it. So how do we do this? I think I have to kill this Stoneforge. But if I push the Stoneforge, that allows me to Fury later. Alternatively, I could hope I draw a land. This is a 2 for 2 though, which is nice. So I think we're just gonna do that. So just do that. Say go. Really would love to find a land. Feel like if we find a land, we're gonna be in really, really good shape. So we know one of my opponent's cards is a blank. Dress Down, I guess, is our best draw. Archmage's Charm. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. That's also fine. Probably not gonna charm here. We're gonna charm in my opponent's end step. Opponent did not make a token. They just have 6th. Oh no. Like, I don't think it's going to matter. Like, we have answers to the Saga tokens, but obviously that makes things a lot worse for them. They don't make just no constructs at all. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Stoneforge? That's fine. We can just push that. Because I'm prioritizing the draw 2 here, right? If my opponent has a Paladin, I'm going to probably kill the Paladin instead, but looks like they don't. So we're just going to draw 2. That's a Bolt, which is an answer to the Stoneforge. Another Sugu. So this is starting to look like garbage time now. I actually think I'm just going to resolve Jace here. Just Jace minus on the Stoneforge. Can I get punished if I do that? Not really, because I have push, so I think we're just gonna do this. My opponent can draw another card from the Stoneforge Mystic, but that card is irrelevant. So here, they get to resolve Paladin here, but I just push it, so... They get to draw a card off the Paladin, but then the Sugu is also gonna be like a 5 million for one, so... Sure, you get to draw a card. But I don't think that any of my opponent's cards matter. So Brainstorm here. That's very nice. So put this on top, these on top. Play my land. Shred. Push. Connive. I think we'll just make this card out of Wara here. Yeah, and Hidetsugu consumes, so like this is actually a clock. Like this is a very real clock. This is no joke. Yeah, putting this back in. Alright, so now we're gonna be on the draw. I like Magus, I like Sugu. Dreadbore is a little bit awkward, but we probably have to deal with it. And then we want to cut the counter spells, maybe one Thoughtseize, cut a Jace. Command's very good. Dress Down's very good. Maybe cut a Charm, cut a counter spell. So let's do something like this. Yeah, let's try something like this. Similar to what we did earlier. Not sold on the Thoughtseize, but I'm also not sold on the counterspell either, so maybe I should have Spell Pierce, honestly. Let's do this, actually, yeah. Yeah, maybe Spell Pierce is just better than Thoughtseize. Because my opponent, if they get me, it's gonna be through, like, spells and stuff. Just multi-spelling, or whatever. Okay, Dress Down is incredible. We have card advantage, we have a Magus. I think I'm gonna keep this hand. That's the strongest start my opponent could have. Alright, Sugu is not bad at all. So it's gonna take a minute to set up this Magus, but once we do get there, it's gonna do some work. I really like the Dress Downs. Dress Downs is very nice here. So what I'm gonna try to set up here is for Sugu to allow my opponent to draw a card, but that's it. Well, 2 cards, I guess. Sure. No attacks. Okay. Here's the lounge. This is where we chill. Okay, so Magus probably gonna get pitched to something else, I guess. Opponent's gonna get their cards back though after I Sugu, so that's good for them. What I could do is end step Dress Down. No, but then my opponent draws the cards anyway. So yeah, there's no way around it really. Okay. Okay. Alright, so that's fine. Jegantha save 2. Oof. Gonna get some real good value. Again, opponent's gonna get to like get their cards back, right? So let's get an island here, and I'm just gonna slam this Sugu. We get God by Mana Tide, I guess. My opponent could have Splice or Skill, I guess it's the card. Blacksmith's Skill. But I want to do this now, so next turn I can, like, to make sure that I can resolve it through, like, Mana Leak or whatever, like, if my opponent has the blue splash. But yeah, so this is basically like a 2-for-1, right? At the bare minimum, right? Like, at the bare minimum, it's going to be a 2-for-1. And then, you know, we take it from there. I think if I find... Yeah, so there's a skill. Okay. Skill on the Jegantha Sade. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, there's the Hallowed Fountain. So they could have some form of counter magic now. Lavinia. Why? Like for Fury? So I think we're just Suguing again here. Second Sugu, this is just a 1-for-1. But it makes it so like I'm looking fine here. Like opponent's gonna get to pop this. They get a construct out of the deal. But then that construct dies to Dress Down, so I don't really care. Got a hammer. Even if opponent plays a paladin here, it doesn't have Metalcraft, so I don't think I care too much. But we don't currently have an answer to the Lavinia though, which is a little bit awkward. There goes the paladin. Alright. So we're gonna iteration here. Because I need to hit my land drop. Alright, so that's probably game. Let's draw this. Bottom, exile. Play this. Push that. And I think that's it. I could Dress Down on my own end step. Don't think I want to do that. I definitely want to hold up the Dress Down in case my opponent has another Paladin or a Stoneforge Mystic. I don't think my opponent should have Lavinia in their deck. I just don't think it does enough. and just gets bricked by the cards that I naturally want to play. Okay, so good to know about that Saga, because now we probably want to save this dress down a little bit more. So I guess we're gonna draw 2 main phase, looking for that land drop. Easy land drop. Here's my vessel. My vessel's amazing. Okay, so do I want to play a Shredder? Maybe. Am I afraid of anything? Paladin, maybe? Maybe Paladin is scary enough for me to want to hold up Dress Down / Archmage's Charm. Esper Sentinel. That's fine, whatever. Okay, that's it. My opponent has no more cards. So we're gonna bolt the Sentinel on end step. Definitely want to pay that the tax. So your thing's dead. Untap. Okay, that's another land. Not bad. I think I'm just gonna double shred here. And we're gonna discard this Magus. It's kind of awkward. I think this is just game. So what I'm gonna do is on my own end step. I guess I want to do it on upkeep. So that plays around Spell Pierce. Yeah. I was thinking whether I prefer the counter or make sure that I get rid of the other token. So yeah, I'm gonna do it on upkeep because my opponent could draw exactly what's his name. They could draw exactly Spell Pierce or whatever. And by playing it right now, my opponent still cannot make a Saga token, but it just dies immediately. And it also stops a Paladin. It stops Stoneforge Mystic. Like, yeah, it's just, you know, again, this matchup is extremely, extremely good. I think I played against this matchup like 6 or 7 times, and I'm 7-0. And it never looked close. Like, we got cheesed like in the previous match where we got cheesed early in the game. But once I know that I've never lost a post-war game, I don't think, or something ridiculous. The matchup is very, very good. Last match, here we go. Interesting hand. Yeah, sure. Okay, let's keep it. We obviously are gonna have to, you know, draw some gas, but let's see what we're up against. Up against Basic Forest. Nice Basic Forest, by the way. Tasteful Basic Forest. Tasteful Basic Forest is tasteful. Is this Amulet? How many decks can go turn 1 Basic Forest go? It's gotta be Amulet, right? Cyan's not particularly great against Amulet. It is Amulet. There you go. Cyan is not fantastic against Amulet. Ugh. Yeah. Cyan's pretty bad against Amulet. Game 1 against Amulet's not too great. Things get a lot better post-board. But things, like, it's not a great matchup game 1. Definitely not a great matchup. I guess it's up to how many counters they draw, right? So now we have an interesting decision. I think I'm going to play Delta because it gives me the option of enabling Fatal Push. I can also just, you know, counterspell if I need to, but my opponent has the cavern, so I'm assuming that they're going to try to set that up. So I have 2 dress downs that I'm drawing towards. Not much else. Well, you're short of mana, opponent. You're missing 1 mana. You're missing 1 mana. Missing 1 mana. It's not 6. It's not 6 mana. Alright. It's pretty awkward. Shredder. I think I'm just gonna play Watery Grave tapped. Nah, I gotta shred, right? I gotta shred. Particularly when my opponents, they're gonna be able to resolve prime time now. And they can't haste, so don't care about that. But I'm just gonna have to find a way to deal with a Resolve Primeval Titan. It involves probably a Terminate. We don't have that many answers to Resolve Prime Time. Between Terminate, what else could it be? Terminate, Dreadbore, Azusa. Sure. Okay, so that's not Primeval Titan. Okay, so they just fucked up last turn, I guess. They just miscounted. They thought they had enough, but they don't. Okay, so we have no trigger there, but we do have a trigger here, so I'm just going to push the Azusa here now. Naval Delirium, push there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. So the opponent still can't haste. And they're not going to be able to cast a Dryad or an Explorer here. So I assume opponent's hand is Primeval Titan, Vesuva, Unknown. I wonder if they're going to play around Counterspell here, if they have Summoner's Pact, because otherwise they could just cast a Summoner's Pact. Second Shredder. Ha, I guess we do that. So play Shredder, say go, And again, my opponent can't... I'm going to hold up Counterspell in case of Amulet, because that's a way that my opponent can haste. So, okay, here comes the counter, the Primeval Titan. Nothing for us to do about this. Opponent can't haste, fortunately for us at least. Yeah, and they have the natural prime time, so nothing for us to do there. Next turn, we're going to get to look at a bunch of cards looking for Terminate. Maybe what I should have done is I should have Expressive Iteration looking for Dress Down. Maybe that was the play. It's close, but it's possible that would have been the better play. Borders Garrison Saga. Not too scared about the Saga. May win this game involves Dress Down anyway. They bounce the basic forest. So their hand is basic forest, Vesuva, 2 unknowns. Well, no, just Vesuva, 2 unknowns. Alright. Terminate. Archmage's Charm. Not quite, so let's look at 3 cards. And we need Terminate plus Black Swords, actually. Ugh. That's really bad. That's very, very bad, actually. So, I guess these deals with Saga and Amulets. So... just gonna exile the Swamp, or do I just cast the Shredder? I think I'm gonna cast the Shredder, actually. I think we're in desperation mode. Like, I have to dodge my opponent having a Dryad. Not much I can do about that. So I have to dodge my opponent having a Dryad. Would have been great. That would have been great. Spin the counter spell. Let's play this and just say go. And we're still looking for Terminate or Dreadbore. Probably the only cards that matter at this point. Second Titan kills me, but there's nothing I can do about it anyways, because we found the Dress Down too late. If this is a Dryad, I'm also dead. So we're just gonna... not gonna show my opponent this Sugu. Magus, obviously fantastic. Ashiok, obviously fantastic. Thoughtseize, very, very good. Dreadbore's an answer to Dryad. I think Fury's pretty bad. Like, it's okay, but I don't think it's great. So... I think this is the setup that I want. Dress Downs, Shredders, Counterspell, Iterations, Dreadbore. Couple of Sugus, not like the full 4. This just answers Saga and Amulets very cleanly. And we're gonna go with this, I think. And Push answers Dryad while Bolt does not. So that's why. That's also an argument for playing Fury, but if I'm already cutting Bolts, then the amount of cards that I have for Fury are very limited, so... makes it awkward to pitch. Alright, an interesting starting hand. I think I'm going to keep it. This Magus is a little bit awkward, so I'm going to wait until it's a hammer. Like, until it just comes down and dominates the game. But, I mean, the hand's probably too good to pass up, right? Multiple answers, Titan / Dryad. We're just looking for basics here. Ooh, that's a great draw. So we're probably countering anything here. And this is a mistake. My opponent shouldn't have named Giant here. They should have named Beast. Because of Gracer, and if anything, they should have named either Human or Dryad. But like this cavern on Giant doesn't do anything whatsoever. Oh, okay. We have multiple caverns. Okay. Didn't have an Amulet there, which is bad for me. I'm probably taking this turn. Well, I mean, I guess I don't have any options, right? So definitely an iteration looking for a land. 2 lands is just amazing. So bottom, exile. Just gonna pass the turn here. Next turn we get to fetch for 2 basic islands, probably? No, basic island, basic... No, I think 2 basic islands may be better. 2 basic islands or Swamp Island? Because Swamp Island enables this Dreadbore, but double blue enables Counterspell and this Jace. It's also easier for me to find islands than it is for me to find the swamp. This is so close, actually. This is so close. There's the cavern, we knew about that. Naming Nymph. 4 mana. Karn the Great Creator? Man. Shouldn't have told everybody that Karn's actually good right now. So I guess we're going to have to Dreadbore that. So we're going to spend this next turn actually Dreadboring and holding up a counter spell. I think that's what I want to do. Engineered Explosives. Why? Weird. Terminate. That probably means I have to get a basic swamp here, right? Basic swamp, black, red, Dreadbore there. And my opponent can't Titan. And now I have multiple answers to prime time. I'm countering this. Basically countering anything that I can here. Since I'm gonna slam Magus next turn anyways. Bog. Good. Solves. So as long as we dodge second Karn, we should be good to go. But if my opponent has Karn, then they can minus for... What's his name, right? For one of the many answers that the Karn Wishboard has. Either Ballista or numerous other things. Second lands, Shredder is pretty hard. I think I'm going to lead on Sugu here. Kills the Gracer, allows me to start getting in there. And gets my clock online faster. Yep, just Magus doing Magus things. Good old Magus. Just doing Magus things. Do I play the Shredder? Probably have to. Like, I think it's a reasonable question, actually, because... By the way, Monkey's so much better than Shredder here, right? It would enable my entire hand under the Magus. Opponent found the basic. Opponent did find the basic. Summoner's Pact for Dryad. So opponent did go on Desperation mode. So they're just gonna EE for 3. Okay. It's not bad. So we gotta draw... I'm just gonna let her solve. Like, I'm allowing my opponent to, like, play a land here. Which otherwise, yeah. But I think that I'm gonna need to terminate to kill the Titan. Kind of awkward. So opponent has to crack end step, I guess. Well, I guess they don't have to crack end step. It's probably more mana efficient if they do, but... Okay, so this now enables my hand. Opponent needs to pay for Pact. Probably gonna draw 2 on end step. Because my opponent's probably gonna resolve Primeval Titan here, and there's nothing I can do about the Resolve Titan. So this is gonna be a race. Man, Dresden would have been sick. Valakut basic. Well, that's great for me. That's very, very good for me. It's not so good for me. Alright, that's actually good for me. Alright, sweet. So we can now go black, red, Dread Warrior, Primeval Titan. Now we're holding up Archmage's Charm. Holding up Counterspell. Dryad. If their hand is natural Dryad into natural Primetime, we're gonna be in a lot of trouble. Really? Their hand is natural Dryad into natural Primeval Titan. Not even a Summoner's Pact needed. Wow. Alright, can I find a dress down right here? Can I find a dress down of the Knife? Oh, man. Jesus. My opponent drew pretty well. I guess. Sure. Alright. That's what's up. They drew 3 caverns. They drew the Karn. And we would have won if we had found like a red source or... Oh, man, that's kind of infuriating. That's kind of infuriating, honestly. Alright, I'm just gonna draw my cards and be very sad after I die. Would have gotten there. Would have gotten there. Just one more look. Just one more look. But yeah. One and drew pretty well there. I don't think there's anything I could have done. I just needed to find... The missed land drop didn't help. I guess it's turn 9 and I only have 5 lands, so I guess I missed land drops 4 times. And yeah, it was just a combination of things that did not add up to things working out for me. While my opponent had the nuts. Like if they didn't naturally draw the Dryad and naturally draw both Primeval Titans so they could make them uncounterable, we would have been able to counter a Summoner's Pact and then we could have gone from there. But my opponent just drew perfect. There was not too much that we could have done about it. Anyway, 3-2 is going to be the final record, I guess. Pretty sad. Wrapping up this league over here, 3-2, not too great. But we did see the deck's strengths, we did see the deck's weaknesses. And I think that Monkey is better for this deck than Shredder is. Shredder was not bad. But I think that the synergies that the Monkey has, just by being a great card, just in terms of its curve, are very, very strong. And the deck is so good at enabling the Monkey to connect. So you can just play a Monkey on turn 1 and they just protect it and help it connect through a bunch of removal, protect it with counter spells and stuff like that. And then it just gives you something that the deck needs, which is, like, for example, Magus of the Moon against Amulet was so much worse without Monkey, because we were stuck with a bunch of cards that were hammers in hand, but we just didn't have the mana to cast them. So because of that, I think that Monkey is probably a better card. But Shredder did some work. Shredder definitely did some work. Like, the fact that this card triggers off of your opponent playing 2 spells is why the card is so good. But yeah, it just felt like a little bit lackluster. Like, whenever I was discarding spells, I was sad about it. Whenever I was discarding lands, I was also kind of sad about it. So it puts us in a little bit of a weird spot. But yeah, not to say that the card was bad. Like, the card was definitely pretty good. But I think that in this specific shell, it's possible that even with the conflict between Monkey and Hidetsugu Consume Soul, I still think that Monkey is probably the better card for the archetype. At least it felt smoother. It felt like it smoothed out the deck a lot more, which is cool. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you let me know in the comments down below. And I'll see you in the next one, folks. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Take care.